May 26th. 2 years since the original Save TF2 protest. It's just around the corner. And what has changed in that time? Absolutely nothing. You could say that we failed, or you could say that we just weren't trying the right thing. We weren't coordinated, we weren't organised, and we were just sharing our love for the game. If we are truly going to save TF2, what we need is unification and a plan. And those two things are very easily achievable within our community. We all need to agree on what needs to be changed about the game, / what needs to be fixed about the game, and then we need to formulate a plan as to how we are going to go about achieving this. And after speaking to some popular community figures, I think I have a basic idea of how it should go. So, part 1. Why do we need another protest? Well, the simple answer is, things haven't gotten better. In fact, they have gotten so much worse. Valve's casual matchmaking system barely functions, and when it does, you are matched into a game with nothing but bots. The way Valve intends for us to play the game is not possible due to their negligence. And when you really think about it, it's just devastating. So that's why we need another protest. But in terms of why we're doing it now, well, when's a better time to start? Now, when I say now, I don't mean right now, as in I don't mean this date today, May 26th, but more on that in the video later on. What I mean is currently that the game is in a really bad position and the community spirits are high, so now is the best time to start gathering ourselves for another protest. So, along the community spirit lines, a beloved MVM YouTuber called Wheezy released a video the other day talking about the story of the World of Warcraft players who were in a pretty similar scenario to us, and who desperately fought to get the vanilla World of Warcraft they so desperately desired to play. Now, I'm not going to recap the story for you, as I'm 90% sure you are going to be hearing it a million times over within the coming protest videos that other content creators will be making, but just note that this World of Warcraft story is the story of game fans desperately trying against a developer who is very reluctant to help them. Doesn't it sound familiar? This story has inspired the TF2 community to try again, as we have nothing to lose by trying again. And this story also inspired me to reach out to Wheezy and ask how he thinks a successful Save TF2 protest should be held. Or should we instead call it a Fix TF2 protest? This is what he had to say. The 2024 Fix TF2 protest is going to come in 3 main stages. Argue for the movement's existence, manifest the movement's existence, capitalise on the movement's existence. All the videos that will be put out by your favourite content creators over the next few days will be trying to promote this first stage of the plan, argue for the movement's existence. As per Wheezy's recommendation, I will discuss the other parts of the plan at a later date, but for now, we are simply focusing on this first goal. The number one goal of this protest is to make casual playable again. Everything else is secondary. If we dilute our demands, we dilute our aim and we dilute our focus. What we want is for the bots to be gone and a functioning anti-cheat. However, we are not starting this protest right now on May 26th. We are going to be building up for a week of campaigning at a later date. The goal of this stage of the protest is to convince everyone we know that we need another protest and that things are wrong with TF2. And this is where you, my friend, come into the picture. I need you to let everyone know that we need another Save TF2 protest, and I need you to let them know why. Please remember that this is a peaceful protest. We will not be causing any damage nor harassment to anyone whatsoever, and anybody who does is not a part of our protest. The message that we love this game enough to realise its problems and to understand that its developers have neglected it needs to be heard across the community. So, let's talk some specifics. What specifically can you, the TF2 player, be doing to help with this protest? Well, I'm going to list off a few things you could potentially do if you want to help out, and whilst I actually recommend doing all of these, feel no obligation to do so. So as I was saying earlier on in the video, the goal of this stage of the protest is to generate discussion and convince people that we need another protest. So let's communicate with each other. We should be talking, and we should be trying to convince people who aren't quite on board yet that we need another protest. But what should we be saying? Well, we need to be definitively firm and strict on our goals. Our goals are to remove the bots entirely and to get a functioning anti-cheat. And remember, what we are aiming for is entirely achievable by Valve. It is entirely within their possibilities and their power. Yes, it would be very difficult, more on that later, but it is utterly doable for them. This is a realistic goal and we should present it as such. So now we know what to say and to who, where should we be talking? Well, let's take to social media. Remember that we are not protesting yet, we are not collecting signatures yet. We are simply talking to everyone and anyone about fixed TF2 and why it needs to happen. After the 2 failures in a row we've had in terms of protests, there are going to be a lot of doomers and there are going to be a lot of people who are unconvinced that this will work. But you need to convince them that there is no harm in trying whatsoever. In doing this, you could share screenshots of bots and talking about how they're actively ruining the game. You could talk about the friends you've made in TF2. I'm sure we have all spent countless hours talking to other TF2 players and formed lifelong friendships with them. I certainly have anyway, and I'd love to hear the stories as to how you guys have as well. Write about your favourite TF2 moments in the comment section below. I'd be really interested in reading lots of them. Now, in terms of other things you could do that are a bit out there, if you're a bit of an artist, you could be creating fixed TF2 posters that people can copy and paste around. We had some really good ones for the few saved TF2 protests we've had so far, and I'd love to see what kind of new ones people could come up with. And the final thing I utterly recommend you do is to create a YouTube channel and to make a video talking about fixed TF2 and your favourite TF2 moments and why you love the game. I said this last time there was a saved TF2 protest, and not many people were really interested in doing this. But what do you have to lose? My channel was purely spawned from my utter hatred with Dust Bowl and the fact that no one would listen to me whenever I talked about it. This silly ranty video, almost a year later, had spawned a channel with almost 10,000 subscribers and over 1 million views. And with the fixed TF2 hashtag hot and ready, this is the single greatest chance you'll ever have to have your voice heard in TF2. So make a YouTube channel, download OBS, and make a terrible low quality video which you pour your heart and soul into. Everyone has to start somewhere, and that's the best way to start. And remember, everything you say to everyone must be paired along with the hashtags SaveTF2 and FixedTF2. We will be using these hashtags interchangeably. FixedTF2 is obviously the new one, and that should get the message across to Valve. However, there are still going to be lots of people who are going to continue to use FixedTF2, so we should basically use both whenever we can. Now, I fully acknowledge we're going to have a difficult time convincing absolutely everyone that this protest will work if we give it our all. However, that's not actually what this section is about. This section is about addressing a lot of the common criticisms that the Save TF2 protests have had thrown their way. So I'm sure the main criticism most people are going to have is that the bots crisis is not an easy fix. And we know that. And we fully understand that. But at the same time, we're not going to let this continue to happen. Valve is a company with the resources to fix an issue like this. Money is no object for them, and surely fixing this issue for one of their most beloved games ever is well within their accomplishments. And if their current employees don't want to work on TF2, then that's fine. Valve in the past has been known to hire external contractors to work on their games. So what's the issue? It is not the fault of the Valve employee if they do not want to work on an insanely difficult game to fix, one that they have no emotional investment in. It is instead Valve's fault for not realizing that there are people who want to work on these games and there are people who want to fix these problems. They just need to acknowledge them. Now, another criticism you're probably going to hear from time to time is that TF2 players are entitled and spoilt, and this is not going to work because of that. And to that I say, that's just utterly wrong. Do not let the minority talk for the majority. As with most things, it is the 1% who happen to be the loudest and who happen to be the worst who are giving the 99% a bad name. And yes, it really is the 1% who are the worst. And now the final criticism you might hear from time to time is that this just isn't going to work. And to that I say, it's not going to work with that attitude. As I said, we all need to be on board and we all need to be unified as we have nothing to lose by trying. We have the perfect opportunity to make a difference, and we can. If you don't want to compare our efforts to the World of Warcraft fans, then you can compare them to the Helldivers fans instead. For those who don't know, the publishers of Helldivers, that being Sony, decided it would be mandatory in future in order to play the game to sign in with a PlayStation Network account. Helldivers fans did not want to do this for a multitude of valid reasons, and so they fought back all over Twitter, all over Reddit, and review bombed the game to death. And eventually, they won! Just after less than a week of protesting, Sony decided to revert the changes, and the Helldivers fans were thrilled. We can do the same thing, and we can make a difference, but we all have to try, and we all have to be unified. And if we do just that, we might have a chance of making a difference. Actually, hang on a second. I have one more thing to talk about when it comes to Doomers, and that's this video. Okay, I'm going to make this section quick, as I was debating about putting this in the video, but in the end I feel I must address it. So when the second Save TF2 protest kicked off, I made a video basically reiterating these points, talking about what you can do to help out your fellow TF2 player, and it did really well. This showed me that there were enough people who cared about the Save TF2 protest in order to make a difference, and I was really happy. And then the month went by, and well, nothing happened. Devastated in the realization that this cause I genuinely thought we could achieve just didn't happen, I created a video basically talking about how I was really sad that we had failed, and yet at the same time the video was also a bit of a somber celebration, and so I talked about all the artwork people had created, I talked about what we had learnt about Valve in the process, and then towards the end I said I'll be sticking with TF2 no matter what happens to it. People didn't watch it however, and they purely just saw the thumbnail and memed the hell out of it. These memes included everything from funny jokes to actual jabs at me as a person, and even this guy just pretty much copying the thumbnail. Now, I actually found the memes really funny, but it was only when I started to check the comments on a lot of these memes that I realised that people utterly hated me without even watching the video because they thought I was a doomer. So this section is basically just me saying, no, I'm not a doomer, and no, unlike what the creator of this meme thinks about me, I am not covering Save TF2 for the money. YouTube is not a full-time job for me. I do not make enough money from these videos to do so. I am covering the Fix TF2 and Save TF2 news because I genuinely believe it is a cause worth fighting for. This is one of my favourite games ever, and to see it in its current state is abysmally disappointing. So, no, I'm not a doomer, I'm not a clickbait, I'm not any of that rubbish, but I will say, however, that I'm a fantastic graphic artist, so good to the point that I was able to replicate that thumbnail from the original Save TF2 posters so well that people thought it was worth memeing. If there's anyone watching this who needs a graphic designer for anything Save TF2 or Fix TF2 related, you can find my email in my channel bio. Hit me up, I'm apparently that good. So, what's the summary of this video? I love TF2. I love TF2 so much. And I am possibly the single most optimistic person on the planet about the Fix TF2 movement. I genuinely believe, no doubt in my mind, we can make a difference this time because we have a plan and we have set goals to achieve. We didn't have either of those things any previous times we've ever tried to protest. Thank you for watching everyone, and I hope you take this video to heart. I understand the audio in this video might have been a bit poppy and clicky here and there. My pop shield is broken, so I'm looking to fix it once I've completed this, actually. I am on a bit of a time schedule though, so I decided to get this out first. Fight the good fight, brothers. We can do this. We just have to try, and we have to try harder. Apart from that, thank you so much to Wheezy for helping me with this video. I didn't know if he'd actually respond to my messages, and I'm very, very happy he did, as I think the video turned out pretty good because of it. Also, a huge thank you to Seriamon, who gave me lots of pointers on Discord as well. Very cool guy. All of the respective channels will be linked in the description. And on that hopeful note, I will see you in Stage 2, and I will see you later down the sunny road.